No one tells you how quiet it gets. They tell you about the profits, the setups, the freedom, but they don't tell you that some days you'll stare at your screen for hours with no one to talk to. No feedback, no conversation, just you and the market. When I first started trading, I thought the hardest part would be learning the strategy. But what I didn't expect was how isolating this path could feel. You win? Great. Who do you tell? You lose? Who actually understands what that feels like? You're not just trading charts, you're trading emotions in silence. And then you get a text from someone that says, just stop trading if it's stressing you out. And it hits you. Even the people closest to you don't really get it. I've had trades that played out exactly how I planned. Clean structure, right timing, everything lined up, and I just sit there quietly marking it off. I wasn't chasing a celebration and I didn't need anyone to clap. It was just like, yeah, well, that one worked out. Let's move on. But then there were days I'd take a loss that knocked me for a six and I'd still have to go about my day like nothing happened. Sit at dinner, make conversation, smile, while in the back of my mind I'm still replaying the trade, wondering what I could have done better. And if that sounds familiar, you're not crazy and you're definitely not the only one. Trading can be one of the most loneliest things you'll ever do, but it doesn't have to stay that way. Hi, my name is Janet and this is Trade Travel Chill. If you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. Be sure to hit the like and subscribe button so you can be notified every time I upload a new video. Today I want to talk about something that not a lot of people mention when it comes to trading. The part that happens outside the chart. The emotional weight of it, the silence, the fact that most of us, we're doing this alone. And I don't mean that in a dramatic way. I just mean this is what it really looks like for a lot of traders. I think unless you've done this, unless you've actually sat down to learn trading properly, it's hard for people to understand what it feels like. You start out thinking it's going to be this big, exciting path to freedom, but then the reality kicks in and it's early mornings, late nights, second guessing, marking charts, deleting charts, replaying trades in your head that almost worked, wondering if you're even getting better, and doing all of that mostly alone. And then you try to explain it to someone, right? Could you imagine me talking to my partner or a friend who isn't a trader, doesn't even understand the basics of a candlestick, and I'm just waffling on? Like, yeah, I saw this M formation near the high of the week and I waited for the market maker to show up 3 times on the inside right side. Then I got a bearish candlestick pattern, so I entered off the bearish candlestick pattern, stop loss above the first peak of the M formation, and now I'm waiting for a drop level 1. I want to see volume through the 50 EMA, and then once that happens I'm waiting for a lower high for the M formation so it can prove itself. And once it has done that and started to pull away, I'm going to move my stop loss to break even. And yeah, we should be in the money. If it hits my final target, it's going to be a 7-to-1 risk to reward. And you're all excited, you're explaining the setup, and they look at you like you're speaking another language, bouncing off them as if they're a brick wall. And they turn around and say, okay, cool. So did you make any money? And that's it, done. You just carry on with your day. And the same thing happens when you lose too. Maybe you over leveraged, maybe you misread the structure, maybe you removed your stop loss, maybe you risked more than you could afford. Whatever it was, you took the loss, and now you're carrying that around all day quietly. Then the little things start to fall apart. Maybe someone left the milk out on the bench, or the TV's too loud, or someone cuts you off in traffic, and suddenly everything is annoying. And it snowballs. You're still stuck on that loss, and now it feels like the whole day's just turned to shit. That's the part of trading that no one talks about. It's not just the technical skill, it's the emotional weight, especially when you're the only one in your circle that's doing this. And the thing is, most traders try to fix those emotions by pushing them down. They think, I just need to be more disciplined, or I've got to toughen up. But the truth is, emotions don't disappear. You can't outrun them. What actually helps is structure. Let me show you an example of what I mean using DOT. Let's say you've done your technical analysis. We have a clear uptrend, so you were trying to catch the next long. You missed the original multi-session W formation from Asia into UK, and price has now pulled away. And now you're waiting for price to pull back into one of your key areas of interest. You may have marked out this green vector candle here. You identify where your target price is, which might be a key resistance level or vector candle. and let's say your minimum risk to reward is 3-1. You see the original setup that you wanted to take. However, because you doubted yourself, you didn't enter the trade until the fast green vector candle came through and your stop loss is now below previous market structure. Your original take profit was here, but you entered anyway. And this is a different kind of emotion because yes, you had patience in waiting for the pullback to happen. However, you doubted yourself when it came to the actual entry, and you doubted the second entry as well. If you had entered the trade where you had originally planned, you would have been trading based on confirmation, structure, and patience, following all of the rules you had mapped out beforehand. However, because you entered here, you were now trading based on emotions because you got FOMO as soon as this fast green candle happened. Why? Because you really wanted this trade to play out and you really needed a win. That's not structure. That's trading based on emotion. And that's how the market makers get you. They bait you into emotional decisions. They show you just enough to make you bite, and then they flip it the other way. Now let's compare this emotional trade to the clean setup that we previously just talked about. This is a beautiful setup because you identified beforehand that price had created a multi-session W formation, created a new high above the previous lower high, and now you were just waiting, being patient for price to come back into your marked area of interest that just so happened to be a pullback to the 50 fib, and you identified that price consolidated around 50% of your marked area of interest. You identify the bullish candlestick pattern with a conservative target at resistance, giving you a 3.37 to 1. And with this setup, it ticks all of your boxes according to your trade plan. It may not have felt as exciting in the moment, but it was a clean setup. And that trade, beautiful. It played out. Structure doesn't mean every trade wins, but it means you're no longer trading based on hope or fear or frustration. You're trading from a plan, and that's what creates long-term consistency. I was really lucky when it came to support in my trading because my mother was also learning how to trade. We'd be on the phone for hours every day, bouncing ideas back and forward, and we'd jump on Zoom, sometimes not even talking, just sitting there quietly staring at charts. Those were some of the most helpful moments. Even in silence, it felt like we were in it together. And it made me realize something. Just having someone else on the journey with you, even silently, changes everything. It's the difference between trading alone and trading supported. Technically, you can do this alone. There's no boss, no team, no schedule. But the difference between trading solo and trading supported, it's night and day. When you're solo, the pressure is all on you. You have no feedback loop, no second set of eyes, and you can convince yourself a setup looks great just because you want it to. But when you're supported, even if it's just sitting quietly in a live call, reading other people's charts in Discord, it shifts everything. You learn faster, you think clearer, and you stop holding every loss like a personal failure because you realize this is all part of the process. Being in a space where everyone is learning the same strategy and not 10 different systems gives you clarity, and it helps you realize that you're not doing this alone. Even just being in the room helps. TTC isn't like those crypto bro discords yelling out 100x meme coins. It's built with smart, grounded traders. Take Jared for example. This guy, he came out of nowhere in the chat and straight away you could tell he knew his stuff. He had this macroeconomic view, and even though it was a totally different lens, it was something worth learning. Now he runs live macro calls every second week. And for the emotional side of trading, we've got Coach Kat. She's our mindset coach, and her sessions are honestly a game changer. She runs calls that dive into things like emotional discipline, self-sabotage, pressure, performance, all the stuff that goes unspoken but massively affects your trading outcomes. If you've been trading alone and it's starting to feel heavy, mentally, emotionally, come join us. I've also thought about what I would have done if I didn't have my mother, if I had to figure it all out completely alone, and here's what I would have done. The 3 things I'd do if I had to start with no support system. 1, I'd choose one person that inspires me and that I could learn from, not as a mentor, just someone I respected. But if I could have them as a mentor, then I'm definitely taking that chance. But I'd watch how they move, how they post, how they handle wins and losses, and I'd quietly absorb everything. 2, I'd show up live even if I said nothing. I'd sit in on the live sessions whether I was trading or not. Just by being in the room helps you see things clearer. When I first started, I'd listen to calls everywhere and anywhere, and I might not have been watching the call, but I'd have the session playing through the Bluetooth speakers. It was an obsession. Trading honestly felt like I was learning a new language, completely different to anything I'd done before, and just hearing it every day, even when I didn't fully understand, it started to click. The more I listened, the more I understood. Number 3, I'd use journaling like a conversation, and I actually used to do this to the point where it almost became a diary. And I know you don't want your trading journal to be that, but for me, it helped with the emotional side of trading. So I never wanted to show anyone my trade journal, but it would say things like, thank you for this lesson. I know where I went wrong, or I'm so happy and grateful for this win. It gave me a way to process and reflect even when I didn't want to talk to anyone. So maybe that's something that works for you. It doesn't have to be much, but journaling your emotions might be something that helps you as well. You don't need to have a hype team or a trading buddy, but you do need structure and something or someone to help you process the mental load that comes with this game. And when it comes time to execute your trades, there is no place better than Bitunix. The interface is clean, execution is fast, and it's perfect for futures trading, especially if you're following a plan like the one we teach in TTC. At the moment, you can claim your share of 100,000 USDT in rewards by completing tasks, but they don't just do futures. You can also spot trade on Bitunix, and they have an earn feature where you can stake your crypto and earn passive rewards, which is great if you've got coins just sitting idle. By using the link in the description below, you'll get a 20% trading fee rebate for life. That's not a temporary sign-up bonus. That's 20% off every trade ongoing. So if you're ready to keep more of your profits and save on fees, take advantage of that rebate by creating your very own account by using the link in the description below. Something else I had to learn the hard way was this: trading from ego versus trading from execution. Ego says, I know better. I don't need confirmation. I've seen this set up before. Execution says, follow the process. If it is a reversal pattern you are looking for, then what are you looking for within that reversal pattern? If price happens to pull away, what are you looking for here? Are you looking for volume? Are you looking for price to break the EMAs? And once all of that happens, what are you looking for next? Is it a vector candle? Is it the EMA retracement? And then what is your trigger? Bearish candlestick patterns, great. Bearish candlestick pattern, stop loss above previous market structure, with your target being a previous support or area of interest. The TBD system taught me how to separate those two, because when you remove the guesswork, you remove the ego and you trade what's actually there, not what you hope to see. And that's why the model works. That's why we trade it. It keeps you grounded, it keeps you focused, and it keeps you consistent. But here's the thing, having structure only works if it's actually realistic for you. Like, it's one thing to say, follow the plan, but if your plan doesn't fit around your life and your work, your energy, you won't follow it. And that's when emotion creeps back in. So here's how I set myself up to trade from structure instead of stress. Before I even think about opening a trade, I have a pre-market routine that I do every single day. I know how much I am risking per trade, what my minimum risk to reward is, and if I am to enter a trade, I also know how I want to manage that trade. Part of my pre-market routine is charting Bitcoin before anything else by starting out on the higher time frame, then working my way down into the lower time frames. For example, I can see that price is clearly in an uptrend. We broke above the previous all-time high, however, we have now created a lower high. And now I can see an M formation. However, we are still holding above the 50 EMA, which is a good sign for the bulls. My next step would be to review key levels and market structure. So I've already identified we are in an uptrend, created a higher high. However, we now have a lower high. The trend is still very much bullish because we are holding the 50 EMA. Regardless, I am aware of the M formation here, paying attention to it, But if we break below the 50 EMA with volume and right through this area of interest that I have marked, maybe I will change my mind if we get a lower high. My next step is to identify the pattern, the timing and the levels, which I've just gone through, identify liquidity and trading light orders, check for news events and check the dominances. Once I have completed my whole pre-market routine, now it is time to go and hunt for setups. Checking all of these things from my pre-market routine and then asking myself, do I have a reversal pattern? Am I counter trend trading or trading in line with the trend? That whole process helped me take fewer trades but better ones. Now let me show you what happens if I was to skip this. Let's say I entered a long position off this bullish railroad track and I am not aware that it is a weekend trap because I didn't check what day it is. I am not aware of the liquidity that is below price or above price, and all I had identified was that this was a higher low compared to this point and this point here. So I'm going to take a long trade and hope for the best. And whilst this trade is fine and I am still in profit, the thing is, if I had followed my plan and structure, I would not have entered this trade because it is the middle of the weekend trap, and essentially I am now one of those traders who is trapped within the weekend trap. And that is what happens when I don't follow my structure. It's not about being perfect. It's about knowing what puts you in the best position to execute well. I want you to actually go and ask yourself, what does structure look like for you? Not in theory, but in real life. Is it a routine you follow in the morning? Is it a checklist before entry? Is it a time limit, like you only trade 2 hours a day? It's different for everyone, but without it, you will always drift back into emotional trading. And if you don't have structure yet, or you're just not sure where to start, just steal mine. I've already filmed a full breakdown of how I run through all of this, how I prep, my risk management, entry and execution, trade management, and how I journal my losses, and you'll find them right here on this channel. Or if you want the full framework laid out step by step, we've built that inside TTC too. Structure isn't about being robotic, it's about reducing the amount of chaos and decision fatigue you're bringing into your trading day. It's what gives you confidence, it's what protects you from your own worst moments, and it's what makes trading sustainable, not just exciting. So if any of this resonated with you, if you've been carrying the weight of trading by yourself, here's what I want you to actually do next. Step 1. Audit your environment. This might sound simple, but take a look at what you're actually trading around, not just your desk. I'm talking about the whole environment, mentally and physically. Are you surrounded by noise, pressure, distractions, or doubt? Or are you creating a space that helps you feel calm, focused, and in control? It could be something as small as adding an essential oil diffuser, turning off background noise, or even changing your chairs so you're more comfortable. You want your space to feel inviting, somewhere you actually want to sit down and trade, because the way your space feels physically can seriously impact how you perform emotionally. So do one small thing today to upgrade it. Even if that's just clearing your desk or lighting a candle, these little shifts stack up. Step 2, decide how you want to trade and how you want to feel. It's not just about strategy, it's about how you want to feel whilst you are trading. Do you want to feel in control, calm, confident, or are you stuck in panic mode, FOMO, chasing trades and doubting every decision? Write it down, just one sentence. I want to feel when I trade. And if what you're doing now doesn't match that feeling, then something has to shift. Step 3, find your version of support. Now this one's big, and I don't mean fake support or hype groups. Find real support. That could be a journal where you are brutally honest with yourself. It could be a voice note you send to a friend who listens, even if they don't fully understand. Or maybe you're ready for something with a bit more structure, something that actually teaches you the full strategy step by step with like-minded people who are on the same journey you are. That's where TTC comes in. It's not just some random Discord full of signals and noise. It's a proper membership built around one model, one strategy, and a whole group of people learning it together. We've got two options depending on how you like to learn. If you're more independent, there's a self-paced version where you still get the full courses, the daily market updates from our pro team, and the indicators you see Annie and I use, just without the community side. Or if you want that extra support, asking questions, getting feedback, joining live calls, that's all included within our first class membership. And trust me, having a space where everyone's speaking the same trading language makes a huge difference. So whether you like learning quietly or you're ready to speak up and get involved, there's a path that fits. You can check out the options and see what feels right for you by using the link below. One thing I've come to realize is that this journey doesn't have to look like anyone else's to be valid. Trading doesn't have to be isolating. You're allowed to want support. You're allowed to build your own version of what trading looks like, even if it doesn't look like anyone else's. Whether that's journaling in silence, listening to calls while you're in the car, or slowly finding your voice in a community, it's valid. All of it counts and all of it moves you forward. And if you've been in that space where you felt like no one really gets it, just know that it doesn't mean you're wrong and it doesn't mean you're not cut out for it. It just means that you haven't found your people yet. That's what I found inside TTC, and that's what I hope you find, whether it's with us or somewhere else that actually supports your growth.